Have you ever felt, in a dream or vision, the gentle touch of Mary on your heart? This question invades your mind like a divine whisper, awakening curiosity and a desire to understand what goes beyond books. Imagine closing your eyes and being transported to a setting where the Virgin Mother appears in soft colors, whispering messages of warning and love not written in any ancient tome. If you've been through this, you know well how these experiences can change everything. If you haven't, stay with me until the end to discover secrets that could transform your journey of faith. Since time immemorial, dreams and visions of spiritual warning have been a source of comfort and guidance for generations of believers. But what if I told you that there are accounts that never made it into official treatises, that live only in the memories of those who dared to open their hearts? Messages not written in books, recorded only in the simple testimonies of ordinary people who, one random night, received a silent call. What you're about to discover now may surprise you. For these revelations are not found on scholarly altars, but in the everyday experiences of men and women who saw Mary speak to their hearts. Throughout this video, we'll explore real-life stories of dreams in which the Mother of Jesus offered instructions for care, warning signs, and gestures of hope. We'll discuss encounters that took place in the silence of the room, when the world seemed to shut down, but the Spirit remained attentive. Through each account, you'll feel the power of prophetic visions that flow through the corridors of the soul, inviting us to awaken to a greater purpose. Have you ever felt that shiver in your body when you perceive a sacred presence, or felt a gentle word within you, guiding your steps? Stay with me until the end to understand how these intimate warnings can brighten our days. This isn't just a matter of spiritual curiosity, but a practical invitation. How do we discern these dreams that carry a maternal touch of warning? How do we take note of the messages not written in books, but engraved in our minds and hearts? In every second of this video, you'll find clues to recognize when Mary uses this mystical channel to guide us. We'll discover how her protection manifests itself in images that warm the soul and in words that calm fear, but also awaken the urgency to act. As we explore these narratives, you'll notice that they all have something in common: the simplicity of the receiver. You don't need to be a renowned scholar or mystic. All you need is an open heart and the willingness to believe that the supernatural travels freely among us. What lies in these dreams and visions of spiritual warning received by ordinary people? How can we understand the meaning of each sign? And, most importantly, how can we respond to this call? With each passing second, your connection with the divine will be growing closer, and you will learn to record, interpret, and value every fragment of this celestial conversation. And now, prepare to delve into stories that go far beyond the sacred books, opening the door to a world where Mary speaks to the hearts of those with eyes of faith. In the next segment, we'll hear our first testimony of vision that saved a family from imminent disaster, and discover together the transformative power of these hidden messages. As we continue delving into these mysterious accounts, I invite you to join this journey of discovery. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what has touched you most so far. Share your own experience, or the feeling that awoke in your heart upon hearing about these visions of spiritual warning. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like the video. It's a simple gesture, but one that strengthens our community and helps bring more people who need to hear these words not written in books. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue together unraveling each sign of Mary. Because your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more hearts thirsting for hope and divine guidance. Now, let's delve into the first real testimony. A vision that appeared in the silence of the early morning and forever changed the destiny of a family. When Mary speaks to the heart, messages unwritten in books is much more than a striking a portal to a transformative experience that transcends printed pages and resonates with the essence of those seeking answers beyond the cold text of manuals. The proposal here is to delve into the intimate journeys of ordinary people who, in moments of silence or despair, were visited by dreams and visions of spiritual warning, revelations that, despite never landing in official records, carry a profound weight of hidden truth and an invitation to change. Imagine for a moment feeling, in the early morning, the gentle warmth of a maternal presence, whispering precise guidance for a decision you hadn't even considered. This is the reality of many who, without manuscripts or academic testimonies, hold in their hearts stories capable of shaking mindsets and reconfiguring life paths. From the first breath of these stories, we perceive the intense impact the Virgin exerts on the community of believers, a presence that is not limited to the altar but permeates the backstage of the human soul, accessible to anyone willing to receive the message with faith and sensitivity. In each narrative, we encounter urgent decisions, discreet calls to act with faith, warnings that arrive in the form of sensory symbols: a breeze carrying a gentle scent, a dim light reflected in the shadows of the room, or even a brief spiritual rainbow that vanishes as quickly as it appears. These experiences do not occur only in temples or during grand celebrations. They blossom in everyday life, during the work routine, or in silent prayers at dawn. And it is this simplicity that makes each account all the more fascinating. When we study officially recorded apparitions, we perceive the rigor of ecclesiastical documents. But we also sense the distance of an often erudite language, which blocks the emotional access of those who lack theological knowledge. Therefore, when we speak of unwritten messages, we open a direct channel with those who live the moment, those who had the courage to record details in their dream journal, or those who, even without specialized vocabulary, constructed a testimony. Filled with humanity, these voices intensify the feeling of closeness, as if we were conversing with a close friend about something deeply personal, rather than leafing through dusty tomes. In the stories we will explore, we will encounter anonymous characters: a farmer whose bare feet felt the chill of a prophetic warning before a devastating storm, a nurse who nearly gave up her faith but was encouraged by a vision of Mary enveloping her hands in light, revealing crucial life-saving decisions, and so many others who, touched by the maternal presence, altered the course of their actions and, consequently, the fate of entire communities. Each story brings with it a lesson in transformation and strengthening of mindset, showing how spirituality can be a practical beacon, guiding everyday choices and revealing a greater purpose amidst adversity. It's not about seeking mysteries for vanity's sake, but about recognizing that there's a universe of revelations pulsating beyond what we see. Here, we won't just narrate extraordinary events. We'll understand the impact these experiences have on the lives of those who live them, how they shaped values, strengthened the courage to make decisions, and sparked a journey of faith that continues to this day. It's a journey behind the scenes of the soul, where each dreamlike scene or sudden vision acts as a key to unlocking internal doors, connecting emotion and reason in a subtle dance of learning. And the most fascinating thing, by paying attention to these stories, we begin to perceive our own feelings differently. Perhaps you recall an old dream you ignored, or some intuition you dismissed as a result of fatigue. Didn't Mary try to speak to her heart on that restless night? Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Comment: that makes sense to me. To understand the depth and scope of these intimate experiences of dreams and visions of spiritual warning, we must return to the official records of the Church and the historical legacy that has shaped the mindset of the faithful over the centuries. The apparitions of Mary, recognized by the Vatican such as Our Lady of Guadalupe in 1531 in Mexico, Our Lady of Lourdes in 1858 in France, and Our Lady of Fatima in 1917 in Portugal, have become immortal landmarks of spiritual transformation and communal conviction. Each has had a colossal impact on the way millions of people understand the Virgin's maternal presence, reinforcing the belief that crucial decisions and profound changes can arise through heavenly revelations. However, by delving deeper into these consecrated episodes, we perceive a hidden truth pulsing behind the scenes. Countless accounts never made it into the official sacred books, yet they had the power to alter life trajectories for generations. In Guadalupe, for example, Mary's message was recorded in detail in the account of José Juan de Zumárraga, and in the shield miraculously imprinted on the tilma of Saint Juan Diego, creating tangible evidence that accelerated the faith of a people in the midst of drastic cultural change. In Lourdes, the young Bernadette Soubirous had no academic education, but she wrote down Mary's simple words in her spiritual diary: "I am the Immaculate Conception." This phrase, though brief, sparked a mass conversion movement, demonstrating the power of a direct revelation, free from theological veneer, capable of reaching hearts of all social classes. In Fatima, the three children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, treasured visions and prophecies that transcended borders, teaching lessons of penance, prayer, and peace in a post-war context. These official accounts prove that the impact of an apparition goes far beyond the event itself. It reverberates in the culture, mindset, and decisions of entire communities. However, beyond these well-documented chapters lies a universe of less publicized but equally powerful episodes. Historians of faith find traces in personal letters, parish meeting minutes, and even informal conversations between devotees who, deep in their hearts, recorded prophetic dreams. These are testimonies shared in church hallways, in prayer group meetings, or exchanged in nocturnal confidences, when the voice of the Spirit seems closest. These narratives, focused on the hidden truth of each individual, reveal behind-the-scenes accounts of spiritual experiences that have not undergone official scrutiny, but which nonetheless brought comfort, alertness, and hope to those who lived them. It is at this point that personal transformation takes on a unique flavor. It does not depend on dogma or hierarchies, but on a sensitive listening that captures messages beyond formal scripts. By analyzing this historical and traditional panorama, we see how devotion to Mary was shaped by details that escape official records. In the Middle Ages, for example, pilgrims reported dreams in which the Virgin asked the local population for help in alleviating famine or plague, prompting collective decisions of charity and community care. These accounts were rarely documented, beyond letters exchanged between religious leaders, but they made a difference in entire villages, sparking a wave of solidarity that echoed as a legacy of practical faith. Centuries later, in remote regions of Asia, Muslim workers converted to Catholicism recounted visions in which Mary presented symbols of peace and reconciliation, influencing their journey of reconnecting with ancestral traditions of tolerance. Each episode, even if confined to the memory of a few, formed a mosaic of revelations that enriched the spiritual journey of ordinary people. This wealth of uncertified experiences highlights that Mary's presence is not limited to majestic events. With praying crowds, many messages not written in official books took place in a silent atmosphere, far from the spotlight, but with an impact as powerful as that of any great apparition. The hidden truth of these communications transforms mindsets through maternal whispers offering guidelines for action. In contemporary accounts, we see health professionals facing critical decisions and, in a fleeting vision, receiving guidance on choosing life-saving procedures. Parents, in emotional crisis, finding serenity by meditating on fragments of phrases or symbols revealed in dreams. And young people searching for purpose, guided by a sense of sanctified urgency that motivates them to rethink priorities and adopt a more active faith posture. By appreciating this historical panorama, it becomes clear that there has always been a coexistence between the formal and the informal, between official records and confidential testimonies. The Church established rigorous criteria for validating apparitions, aiming to protect the faithful from possible misunderstandings. However, those who dedicate attention to the behind-the-scenes details of these accounts discover a wealth of revelations that escape theological compendiums but resonate with a human and immediate freshness. It is as if each anonymous testimony were a piece of a larger puzzle, showing that the Mary who intervenes in the history of salvation also communicates in the intimacy of hearts willing to listen. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject. Comment: I'm on this journey too now. I want to delve even deeper into this subject. To truly delve into the distinction between an ordinary dream and a prophetic dream, we must first understand the dream theater of the human mind, that stage where desires, fears, memories, and random fragments of our daily lives are enacted. An ordinary dream is often a patchwork quilt with no clear guiding thread, in which scenes follow one another in a chaotic, often disconnected fashion. You might be driving a car, suddenly find yourself flying, immediately afterward plummet into an abyss, and everything dissipates when the alarm wakes you up. These home movie-like glimpses serve no purpose other than to exercise our imagination during sleep. They are echoes of routine, echoing in the darkness of the night, without a message that transcends the simple memory of fleeting emotions. On the other hand, prophetic dreams stand out for their unusual clarity and vividness, as if we were watching a documentary filmed in high definition behind the scenes of the universe. In them, the colors are more intense, the sounds clearer, and the sense of reality is so pronounced that the body reacts even before the mind processes the experience. It's common for a person to wake up with their heart racing, their body still vibrating with a deep emotion, whether of peace or urgency. This emotional charge, so powerful that it can change the experiencer's entire day, signals that there's something more at play, a force that transcends the simple processing of work assignments or random scenes on television. Another criterion that points to a prophetic dream is the presence of symbols and archetypes with precise meanings, not mere disconnected daydreams. For example, seeing a bouquet of white flowers can represent purification and consolation, a message of inner transformation. Dreaming of running water indicates that difficult decisions must be made smoothly, inviting renewal. This symbolism always arises, accompanied by a clear intuition that the sign must be decoded, interpreted, and applied to real life, something far removed from the common dream, in which the flower, the storm, or the opening doors are merely elements of a random plot. Repetition is another key element. When the same scene, the same warning, repeats itself night after night, the mind, previously distracted, enters a mode of heightened attention. It's as if the universe is urging us to awaken to a hidden truth about to emerge from our unconscious. In research on spiritual experiences, people report that the constancy of this type of prophetic dream has provoked profound changes in mindset, generating echoes of decision-making that are reflected in concrete actions during the day. Imagine someone repeatedly dreaming of soft flames enveloping a book in their hands. This sign may indicate that a revelation needs to be written or shared, and to let it go unnoticed is to neglect an opportunity for impact. Furthermore, the synchronicity between prophetic dream content and real-world events is often striking. It's possible that, after having a dream in which Mary points to a candlelit path, the next day the person will actually encounter a similar sign, perhaps a statue adorned with candles, or even a coincidence capable of removing doubts about which decision to make. These directed coincidences seem to be part of an invisible choreography, reinforcing that this is not a coincidence, but an internal orchestra of revelations guiding the journey of the attentive dot to identify whether a dream carries a divine warning purpose. It's essential to develop a sensitive listening posture. Recording every detail in a journal immediately upon waking helps preserve the intensity of the story, preventing daily routines from diluting the message. Then, Seeking discernment through prayer or meditation can shed light on the meaning of the symbols, aligning our transformed minds with a deeper understanding. Consulting a spiritual mentor or someone we trust can complement this interpretation process, but always respecting the dreamer's personal connection to the experience. It is in this space of searching for meaning that transformation truly occurs. By recognizing the validity of a prophetic dream, we allow our minds to open to new decisions, guided by a maternal presence that speaks to the heart with urgency and tenderness. Instead of dismissing mental fragments as mere nocturnal ghosts, we begin to welcome each vision as a potential invitation to reconfigure life projects, inner gardens that need to be pruned or watered to flourish according to a greater purpose. Now, amid these identification criteria: sensory vividness, emotional charge, repeated symbols, synchronicity with reality, and the habit of recording everything, we can see how prophetic dreams radically differ from ordinary daydreams. This distinction is not merely theoretical, but practical, as it directly affects our way of acting and making decisions in everyday life. When someone manages to decipher this divine warning message, a realm of possibilities opens up that will never be the same again. A turning point in the personal script that impacts the surrounding community. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Comment: this makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. In a dimly lit setting, where every shadow seemed to whisper secrets from beyond, Anna awoke from a dream so vivid her heart still pounded like a drum. She found herself in her childhood home, the room exuding the sweet scent of wildflowers that, incidentally, didn't grow anywhere near there. A faint glow illuminated the room, and in the bed next to her, the maternal figure of Maria appeared in a translucent cloak, its folds reflecting a play of light and shadow, as if revealing, behind the scenes of time itself, hidden messages of protection and urgency. It was a gentle presence, yet its impact was so powerful that it seemed to pierce Anna's bones, instigating an immediate internal transformation. In that vision, the Virgin leaned down and gently touched Anne's forehead, transmitting a feeling of warmth that spread through her mind like sparks of hope. Immediately afterward, like a whisper echoing through her soul, Mary murmured, "Take your family away before the fire consumes this house." The warning was so clear that Anne felt the metallic taste of fear in her mouth, confused with the flavor of an impending storm. In the next instant, the scene faded, and the luminous cloak dissolved like smoke, leaving only the echo of an urgent call. Upon awakening, every fiber of Anne's body was on alert. It was as if her very mind had been recharged with decisive energy, ready to redefine every choice of that day, without time to hesitate. She ran to her children's room, still feeling the walls as if searching for an internal map of safety. The clock read 3:30 in the morning, and the silence was so heavy it seemed to hold a premonition. Dragging the blanket to the floor, she woke her husband with a choked voice. "You need to get up now. Maria showed me something very serious." Within minutes, the whole family was gathered in the living room, their eyes heavy with sleep, but their minds sharp as a blade, ready to react to an instinct for protection that was taking over. The transformation that had previously seemed distant now leaped before everyone's eyes. It was a mentality of urgency, a call that demanded swift and firm decisions. As they left the house, the world outside slowly awakened to the sounds of dawn, the distant song of a thrush, the rustling of trees lulled by the breeze. However, while they were still at the gate, an intense flash split the sky, followed by a powerful boom that shook the ground beneath their feet. Behind them, the garage, where the car was parked, burst into flames, a gigantic blaze that grew with the veracity of an enraged dragon. If Anna and her family hadn't heeded the prophetic dream, they would have been inside the house, with no chance of fighting back. The hidden truth of that story lay not only in the miracle of survival, but in the way the divine revelation had an immediate impact on the family dynamic, saving lives and awakening consciences. In the weeks that followed, Anna's story circulated among neighbors, prayer groups, and even at the local chapel, where some believers dared to compare the episode to great historical apparitions. But the most fascinating aspect lay behind the scenes of the experience. No one documented the dream in a solemn or academic tone. Everything was conveyed in simple conversations around a dinner table or in voice messages exchanged late in the afternoon. The narrative's power came not from official records, but from the human warmth that blossomed within the community, opening doors to discussions about living faith, personal revelations, and the possibility of choices guided by something beyond pure reason. By revisiting every detail, Ina realized that the journey of transformation doesn't end with the obvious miracle. The shift in mindset endured. Influencing courageous decisions, her husband decided to reorganize his work to prioritize family. Her children began recording dreams and signs in a shared journal, and Anna, in turn, felt a renewed calling to help. Others recognized their own nighttime warnings. It was a cycle of revelations fueled by trust and inner listening, reinforcing the belief that the impact of a prophetic dream extends beyond the moment itself and reverberates in every subsequent choice. It's curious how, by sharing this testimony, reflections emerge on the role of faith in practical life. Instead of relegating spirituality to a separate compartment, we realize that Mary's gentle touch can inspire profound decisions in everyday life. Professional choices, changes in relationship direction, even the way we face health or financial challenges. The family environment, previously settled in routine, became a laboratory of revelations, where every sensory detail of the dream, the scent of non-existent flowers, the warmth of a touch, the flash of an explosion, was revisited in prayer, meditation, and fraternal sharing. Thus, the testimony is not just a singular account, but an invitation to all who yearn for a hidden truth that transforms their daily lives. As this narrative unfolds, we gain a broader understanding of how the simple recording of a dream can trigger a chain of unexpected events. The decisions that followed Mary's maternal vision were made in fractions of a second, but they shaped a new mindset of care and spiritual vigilance. The transformation, therefore, was not limited to the physical salvation of the family, but expanded to the mission of sharing these revelations in informal conversations, among friends, and in small Bible study groups. Now, with the echo of this experience resonating in our hearts, we are ready to continue exploring how other ordinary people have received dreams and visions with the same degree of urgency and impact. With each story, we will better understand the connection between the dream dimension and the decisions that shape our path on the journey of faith. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Imagine being in a quiet service, the room filled with soft chants, and the community gathered in prayer, when suddenly everything becomes crystal clear, as if someone had adjusted the focus of an invisible lens. This is exactly what happened to Pedro, a devout worshiper who had attended the local parish for decades. That night, as the candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the chapel's ancient walls, he felt a different warmth, a warmth that came not from the lamp, but from a subtle presence that seemed to envelop every heart present. As the choir's final chords echoed through the space, Pedro closed his eyes in thanksgiving, and in the blink of an eye, he saw Mary appearing before the altar, resplendent like a reflection of sunlight filtered through stained glass windows. This sudden vision, so vivid that he swore he smelled the scent of white roses, though there was no bouquet in the room, marked the beginning of a journey of revelation capable of transforming dormant decisions and mindsets. At that moment, Peter's expression became completely absorbed, as if each note of the instrument echoed a veiled instruction. In his vision, Mary spread a handful of petals that scattered in the air, forming words written in light. "Take care of your brother's heart." The message was not addressed solely to him, but echoed between the lines of an entire community, often divided by subtle differences and worldly concerns. The petals, swirling in a gentle whirlwind, slowly fell upon the congregation, imprinting on each a sense of loving urgency. It was time to join forces, to strengthen bonds of care and compassion. The official narrative of great apparitions records grandiose phenomena, but what sets this undocumented experience apart is the intimate and practical nature of the instruction, a call to immediate action, a hidden truth that could only emerge behind the scenes of a moment of sincere devotion. Upon opening his eyes, Pedro felt the physical impact of that revelation. His chest throbbed intensely, and his hands, still raised in prayer, trembled slightly. He turned and noticed tear-stained faces in the surrounding pews, reflecting the collective impact of that sacred moment. The silence that followed was charged with palpable anticipation, interrupted only by a deep sigh from the parish priest as he realized the weight of that moment. Rather than automatically continuing the ritual, the spiritual leader, touched by a feeling of curiosity and respect, invited the community to keep their hearts open, fostering a moment of reflection guided by the emotion that still lingered. In the behind the scenes at that chapel, the transformation was immediate. Staff members began rethinking neglected social projects, reevaluating visits to isolated sick people, and reorganizing Bible study groups to include exercises and attentive listening. Pedro, whose routine was marked by administrative work in the community, felt a clear decision forming to dedicate part of his time to visiting families in crisis, bringing comfort and words of faith. The revelation, though brief, created a domino effect of generous acts, proving that the true power of a prophetic vision lies in the practical impact it has on people's daily lives. Later, in the kitchen of a parish house, Pedro shared his testimony with some friends, describing every nuance of Mary's dream, the diffuse light that seemed to emanate from the altar itself, the freshness of the rose petals dissipating like clouds, and above all, the clarity of the instructions, which left no room for doubt about their spiritual purpose. The narrative gained traction and spread through prayer networks, not as a ceremonial account, but as a concrete example of how seemingly small decisions, like calling someone suffering in silence or offering a word of comfort, can become acts of faith capable of redefining the life of those who receive them. This experience reinforces that not all spiritual revelations need to occur in lavish settings or at grand events. Often they happen in the anonymity of a neighborhood chapel, when the collective heart is attuned to the divine and ready to receive precious instructions. Peter's vision did not become an official document, but it lives on in the effective memory of each person who witnessed his contagious emotion, in the informal encounters that gave rise to prayer circles, and in the renewed commitment to actively participate in community life. The hidden truth of this communication emerged in the heat of a moment of faith and remains a reminder that the Virgin is present not only on consecrated altars, but in the most humble encounters of those who seek to live with love and care. Revisiting this story, we realize how each believer's journey can be a stage for surprising revelations, capable of reorienting mindsets dulled by routine. Instead of adapting spirituality to mechanical rituals, we can see it as a fertile ground for decisions that transform realities. All we need is to be attentive enough to identify the whisper of a divine call that pierces hearts thirsting for meaning. The message that emerged from the luminous petals was not merely an aesthetic gesture, but a symbol of seeds to be planted in the soil of fraternity, reaping fruits of solidarity and compassion. Now, with the echo of this vision resonating in our thoughts, we are invited to reflect on how we can recognize and value these unwritten messages, which do not depend on canonical documents for their value. Peter's revelation teaches us that, in every moment of sincere prayer, there is a potential for hidden truth waiting to emerge, ready to make a real impact on decisions that challenge the superficiality of everyday life. Write it down. I'm on this journey to. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. When we speak of unwritten messages in books, it is essential to recognize that we are not walking in the dark. Great thinkers and ecclesiastical authorities have already invited us to value these signs that emerge from the intimate experience of the faithful. For example, in his apostolic letter Rosary of the Virgin Mary, Pope John Paul II emphasized that Marian apparitions do not oppose the Church's teaching, but rather confirm and illuminate it, providing a living heritage of revelations that nourished the faith of the people of God. RVM 38. This passage reminds us that Marian devotion is not an emotional luxury, but a legitimate channel of encounter with the divine, in which messages received in dreams and visions, even without official registration, contribute to the spiritual edification of the entire community. But furthermore, the renowned theologian Hans Urs von Balthasar taught that God speaks repeatedly to the hearts of men through images that accompany them in their waking and resting hours. Cf. Theology of Revelation, 1967. Balthasar, with his keen intellectual missionary mindset, reinforces the idea that the hidden truth of these revelations is not lost in the mists of academic interpretations, but finds concrete expression in the lives of those who receive them, prompting decisions that transform personal and collective trajectories. By rethinking the value of each prophetic dream, we foster a culture of sensitive listening, where the hidden depths of the soul are as important as the erudite altars. Even in documents of spiritual discernment, such as the Directory for Progress in the Contemplative Life Congregation for Divine Worship, 1999, we find guidance for welcoming mystical experiences with caution and openness. The text recommends carefully distinguishing authentic revelations, which edify the Church and lead to repentance and charity, from subjective manifestations that do not bear fruits of holiness. DCV Section 24. This instruction shows us that, far from encouraging a naive mysticism, the Church invites us to evaluate each sign in the light of faith, communal discernment, and coherence with the gospel, ensuring that the revelations shared in prayer circles and nighttime confidants are received with responsibility and respect. At the same time, contemporary spirituality scholars, such as Benedictine nun Joan Chittister, emphasize the practical impact of these testimonies on building a mindset of service and compassion. In her book, Soundings 2000, Chittister states that the voices that come from the invisible realm find an echo in the hearts of the humble, impelling them to make concrete decisions of love for others and reinvention of their own lives. This perspective reinforces the value of dreams and visions as agents of transformation. They are not merely curious phenomena, but catalysts for attitudes that reverberate in homes, parishes, and throughout society. When we consider these references, from authorities on faith and theology, we realize that each person's private experiences, prophetic dreams, sudden visions, striking intuitions form a vibrant mosaic of revelations that cannot be confined exclusively to academic treatises. They live more intensely in the practical lives of those who, moved by a divine touch, decide to act according to a wisdom that transcends pure reason. This practical wisdom, often elusive in large theological volumes, is revealed in caring for others, in the urgency to make salutary decisions, and in strengthening a journey of faith that remains alive behind the scenes of each day. By bringing to light these voices of authority, from Pope John Paul II to von Balthasar, from official documents to monastic writers, we are not seeking merely intellectual support, but rather connecting them to the sensitive experience of each believer. It is as if these figures broaden our vision and allow us to recognize that Mary's voice, communicated in the silence of a dream or the unexpected brilliance of a worship service, is part of a chain of revelations that nourishes the living tradition of the Church. In each passage of these writings, we find the invitation to read the Gospel not only in the pages of sacred books, but also in the personal narratives that blossom in attentive hearts. Thus, the authority trigger helps us legitimize the value of these unwritten messages, emphasizing that those who have lived the experience are neither alone nor isolated. They belong to a vast field of testimonies that dialogue with the magisterium, theology, and contemplative wisdom. This dialogue strengthens our trust in the ongoing revelation of God, who, in His goodness, speaks through dreams, visions, and symbols to awaken decisions that generate a real impact on people's lives. The hidden truth of these communications, therefore, is not a mere subjective illusion, but a fragment of a dynamic revelation that touches, mobilizes, and transforms us. Now, as we absorb these weighty and relevant reflections, we are led to an even deeper understanding of the narratives that follow. Peter's testimony showed us how a vision in worship led to an outburst of compassion. Anna's account revealed how a dream saved an entire family. In each story, the authority of those who have studied and lived Marian mysticism helps us see the richness of the revelations that, although not documented in formal treatises, continue to flourish behind the scenes of everyday life. Write down, "This makes sense to me." Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic. To transform our perceptions into concrete actions, it's essential to adopt simple yet powerful practices that help us discern the difference between a dream born from the subconscious and a prophetic vision carrying a hidden truth and a call to action. In many faith journeys, people discover that keeping a dream journal is the first step in making sense of the nighttime fragments that would otherwise dissipate into memory with the dawn of day. By immediately noting every detail, the color of a veil, the timbre of a voice, the presence of symbols like flowers, lights, or words written in the air, we create a personal archive of revelations that can be revisited whenever doubts arise. In this habit of recording, we begin to see patterns of symbols and sensations, and this process becomes a true framework for self-discovery, where the mind opens to new questions and possibilities. With the diary in hand, the opportunity arises to compare dreams and identify repetitive movements, and it is precisely there that recurring signs emerge that deserve our special attention. If, for example, someone dreams 3 nights in a row of a bridge lit by flickering torches, this element cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence. It is an invitation to reflect on a possible transition, a change of course that requires courage and faith. These recurring patterns function as a persistent echo of the divine, insisting that we observe the relevance of that symbol in our daily lives. We don't need complex manuals to realize that, when the same alert vibrates on different nights, we have in our hands a key piece for decision-making, a subtle warning that often precedes far-reaching changes. However, simply recording and detecting patterns still doesn't guarantee we'll fully understand the message. This is where the third element of this discernment process comes in, asking for discernment in prayer. When we engage in a moment of inner silence, seeking to converse with God in spirit and truth, the revelations that emerge are complemented by that primordial intuition of the dream. Prayer becomes a living channel of dialogue, where we offer our fears, our doubts, and our hopes, asking for light to understand whether that sign carries a divine purpose. Unlike a mechanical ritual, this attitude of surrender and active listening allows us to interpret each symbol in light of tradition and our own experience of the spiritual journey, providing the security to act with confidence. In several transformative experiences reported by believers, these 3-step dream journaling, paying attention to recurring signs, and prayer of discernment worked together, generating a synergy of revelations that transcended the subjective. People who followed this method found answers to family dilemmas, redefined professional priorities, and even made health decisions with greater conviction. It's as if each step of this process opened a door behind the scenes of the mind, allowing Mary's maternal instructions to manifest themselves not as mere daydreams, but as clear invitations to transform one's mindset and adopt new practices of love and care. When we allow this dynamic of conscious practice to flourish in our daily lives, we realize that spirituality ceases to be something distant, confined to learned words, and becomes a tangible resource of everyday wisdom. The depth of this journey reveals that every detail of a dream, from the simple presence of a dimmed candle to a gesture of silent tenderness, can be a fragment of a greater revelation, ready to illuminate decisions that, until then, slumbered in inertia. By integrating constant recording, pattern observation, and prayerful dialogue, we set in motion a mechanism of self-discovery that accompanies us from awakening to nighttime retreat. It's interesting to note that by adopting this process, we're not seeking an infallible manual, but rather making room for the Spirit's action in our daily lives. Revelation ceases to be an isolated moment and fits into the continuous flow of life, so that small nocturnal warnings gain the status of valuable alerts, guiding practical decisions, accepting an unexpected invitation to help a neighbor in need, taking a break during a busy day to strengthen relationships, or even rethinking career change plans that no longer resonate with our inner calling. In all these situations, the hidden truth unfolds in the details, and personal transformation occurs through attentive listening to each divine whisper. This journey of discernment also reinforces the sense of belonging to a community of seekers, because by sharing our dream journals and the patterns we identify, we can support each other in the process of interpretation. In prayer groups or study circles, the exchange of experiences enhances collective understanding, highlighting that unwritten signs are not the fruit of a solitary imagination, but the fruit of a revelation that multiplies in the experiences of many open hearts. The strength of this community dynamic highlights the collaborative nature of faith, demonstrating that even the most intimate experiences have a social impact capable of inspiring concrete acts of love. As we walk this path of spiritual discipline, the journey will no longer seem winding and will gain progressive clarity. Each recorded dream that evokes persistent symbolism, each moment of prayer, seeking light, and each reflection on the instructions received will pave the way for actions that make a difference in our daily lives. This is how mysticism and practice meet behind the scenes of everyday life, creating a symphony of revelations that guides decisions and nurtures a mindset oriented toward care and compassion. Now, with these guidelines in hand and an understanding of how to transform prophetic dreams into a map of actions and decisions, we realize that the mystery lies not in the big events, but in the small details that inhabit our nights and inspire our mornings. Write it down. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. When we speak of the messages Mary sends to the heart, we cannot ignore the central role of emotions in how these revelations manifest and profoundly touch the mind and spirit. It is as if each dream or prophetic vision is enveloped in a sensory aura that facilitates connection, allowing the recipient to experience an almost instantaneous inner transformation. In many of these experiences, a sense of peace emerges as a consolidating element, imbuing a tranquility that transcends external circumstances. That peace that descends upon the soul, indicating silence after the storm, is not mere emotional relief, but a divine seal of approval, a confirmation that the journey one proposes to follow is in tune with a hidden truth that guides sound decisions. When one feels this peace, the heart calms and the mind opens to receive subtle instructions, creating fertile ground for building a mindset focused on compassion, forgiveness, and caring for others. On the other hand, the urgency that looms large in certain revelations is equally powerful, acting as a trigger for immediate action. In prophetic dreams, where Mary warns of imminent dangers or decisive choices, the viewer experiences a feeling of accelerated heartbeat, as if racing against time. This urgency does not arise from empty fear, but from an impetuous call that encourages quick and firm decision-making, reordering priorities, and mobilizing internal resources of courage and faith. It is at this moment that we realize the true impact of a prophetic vision. It is not limited to a moment of mystical ecstasy, but generates practical consequences in everyday life. Urgency compels us to reevaluate professional paths, to adjust shaky relationships, and to reconfigure our life projects, incisively integrating divine revelation into our daily routine. Beyond peace and urgency, a third emotional vector stands out: maternal love, a feeling of welcome and protection that envelops the dreamer like a gentle embrace, reminding them that the revelation has a genuinely benevolent intention. In dreams, where Mary presents herself as a compassionate mother, each gesture, a touch on the forehead, an outstretched hand, a look filled with tenderness, awakens in the recipient the certainty of being cared for and guided. This maternal love acts as an emotional filter that strengthens inner confidence, encouraging decisions driven by the desire to protect oneself and loved ones. The manifestation of this love is not ornamental. It serves as the basis for a transformation of mindset, for it reveals that, even amidst severe warnings, the ultimate purpose is to lead toward a full life, spiritual renewal, and reconciliation with the divine and the human community. By analyzing the background of these revelations, we realize how fundamental emotions work synergistically, creating a symphony of sensations that prepare the person to listen, discern, and act. Peace prepares receptivity, urgency motivates action, and maternal love sustains courage, forming an emotional tripod that balances the command to follow the divine calling. This dynamic not only deepens the mystical experience, but also generates a concrete impact on practical life. Decisions about finances, career, relationships, and health take on new meaning when aligned with these sacred emotions. Personal transformation, therefore, is not limited to a change in superficial habits, but redefines one's mindset, placing the individual at a level of consciousness where each choice becomes an act of faith and responsibility. In several contemporary narratives, people report that, after experiencing these emotions in the context of dreams or visions, they began to react differently to challenges. A businessman, for example, who had a vision of Mary immersed in soft light, reported such profound peace that he subsequently decided to reduce his workload to dedicate more time to family and social projects. A student, feeling the urgency of a dream in which Mary displayed flames surrounding symbols of hope, abandoned her plans to change majors and decided to engage in volunteer work, transforming not only her academic trajectory but her entire vision of purpose. And a mother, enveloped in a maternal embrace in a vision during prayer, discovered the strength to forgive frayed relationships, re-establishing bonds that had long been weakened. These examples highlight that the role of emotions in revelation goes far beyond mere passing sentiment. They are instruments of practical grace, shaping mindsets and enabling decisions aligned with a supernatural purpose. By capturing this triad of feelings, peace, urgency, and maternal love, each individual becomes an agent of transformation, capable of carrying forward the unwritten message in books and converting revelation into daily action. This intimate conversion directly impacts the community, for by witnessing changes in attitude and priorities, others are inspired to seek their own experiences of inner listening. Now, with this understanding of the power of emotions in the process of revelation, we gain a new perspective on how Mary's messages fit into our spiritual journey. Each maternal whisper, each breath of calm, and each pulse of urgency compose a map of decisions that guides life toward a destiny of active faith and commitment to others. Comment: this makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. I invite you to participate in a practical exercise that will bring this revelation even closer to your daily life and, at the same time, reveal the transformative power of intimate interaction with Mary. Close your eyes for just 30 seconds, breathe deeply, and imagine yourself before her, enveloped in a soft light capable of dissolving any fear or doubt in your mind. Feel the maternal warmth enveloping your chest, as if millions of petals of compassion were being placed one by one upon your heart. During these moments, pay attention to what arises within you. It may be a sense of profound peace, an urgent calling, or a feeling of love blossoming in silence. Don't force anything, simply observe, like someone watching from behind the scenes at a sacred performance, allowing the revelations to unfold naturally. As you breathe calmly, notice how each breath can become a bridge between everyday reality and the spiritual universe that Mary offers us. Perhaps you'll feel a lightness you haven't experienced in a long time, a state of grace that transcends practical concerns and invites a new mindset. Or perhaps you'll feel a sense of urgency pulsing through your body, indicating a decision needs to be made, a course adjustment that has the potential to significantly impact your journey. Experiencing these moments is more than a mere emotional experience. It's an invitation to embrace the hidden truth that is always available to those willing to listen with an open heart. When you finally open your eyes, notice if there's been any change in your inner state, as if that brief immersion has redefined priorities or awakened a new spark of faith. Immediately jot down, in a notebook or note-taking app, everything that comes to mind. Even disconnected words or fleeting images can contain important fragments of revelation. This act of recording is, in practice, an extension of the exercise. It consolidates the experience, helping to transform subtle sensations into clear, applicable decisions in everyday life, whether in how you handle relationships or how you view professional challenges. It's fascinating to see how a simple 30-second exercise can open doors to profound internal transformation. Behind the scenes of the mind, emotions reorganize, and what once seemed distant becomes tangible. Perhaps you discover a forgotten calling, a project that cried out for attention, or a truth that was previously overlooked because it was buried beneath the daily grind. The revelation then leaves the realm of dreams and begins to guide concrete decisions, demonstrating that the sacred and the practical go hand in hand, impacting life holistically. For many people, this type of practice marks the beginning of a new phase in their faith journey, in which mysticism ceases to be a subject reserved for the few and becomes a resource for self-knowledge and transformation. The mindset of those who regularly record these experiences gradually changes, as each small insight fuels the confidence that there is a presence guiding our choices. When we understand this process, we begin to view each decision through the lens of revelation, an invitation to act with more compassion, to prioritize what truly matters, and to develop a heightened awareness that recognizes subtle cues amidst the hectic everyday. The impact of this exercise isn't limited to the spiritual realm. It resonates in all aspects of life. There are reports of people who, after practicing this simple immersion, redefined their financial management, opting for regular donations or offering help to those in need. Others decided to invest in their own mental and physical health, realizing that caring for their body and mind is an act of respect for the gift of life they've been given. And many saw the importance of strengthening family and community ties, transforming relationships worn down by resentment into opportunities for forgiveness and reconciliation. The magic of this practical, live exercise lies in its accessibility. No theology degree or prior experience with mystical practices is required. All it takes is a willingness to allow yourself to be touched, even for a few seconds, by a presence that even silently communicates powerful truths. This invitation to deep listening reveals that, in everyday life, every breath can become an act of surrender, every thought can be illuminated by a spark of wisdom, and every decision can carry the seal of a momentous revelation. By incorporating this habit of meditative pause and conscious recording, the viewer begins to perceive nuances of their own journey that previously went unnoticed. Transformation occurs through the repetition of the gesture, closing the eyes, feeling, writing, and reflecting. And, little by little, a routine of revelations emerges that shapes the mindset to respond to the emergencies of the spirit with serenity and courage. This cumulative process creates a panorama of personal evolution, in which the small seeds of peace, urgency, and maternal love germinate into fruits of compassion, action, and practical faith. Now, after this brief exercise, you can perceive how Mary's maternal presence manifests itself not only in grand apparitions or prophetic dreams, but in small moments of silence that connect us to the essence of our journey. These revelations, though subtle, carry extraordinary potential to reorient our trajectory, opening paths for decisions that translate divine love into tangible actions. By practicing this inner listening, you become part of a movement of transformation that transcends the boundaries of the visible and touches the hearts of everyone around you. Comment: I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Throughout this conversation, we delve into the essence of how Mary speaks to the heart through messages not written in books, revelations that emerge in prophetic dreams and spiritual visions. First, we understand the difference between ordinary dreams, scattered fragments that echo everyday life, and prophetic dreams, marked by sensory vividness, repeated symbols, synchronicity, and intense emotional charge, capable of awakening in us a profound urgency or a consoling peace. Then, we explore real testimonies, such as Anna's dream that saved her family from a foretold tragedy and Peter's vision during a worship service that rekindled fraternal care in the parish community, demonstrating that these revelations work behind the scenes of our emotions and practical decisions. Next, we cite ecclesiastical and theological authorities from Pope John Paul II to Hans Urs von Balthasar and Joan Chittister, who legitimized the richness of these intimate experiences, reminding us to value each divine whisper as a living part of the Christian tradition. To make all this applicable to our daily lives, we present 3 simple practices: keeping a dream journal to record details and detect patterns, observing recurring signs that insistently awaken us to urgent changes, and seeking discernment in prayer, opening space for the hidden truth to reveal itself clearly. We also address the essential role of emotions in revelation, the peace that calms and prepares the ground for reception, the urgency that drives us to act, and the maternal love that sustains our courage, showing how these sensations work synergistically to shape our mindset and guide transformative decisions. In a live, practical exercise, we invite you to close your eyes for 30 seconds. Imagine standing before Mary, and notice what feeling emerges, reinforcing the interplay between mysticism and practice and illustrating the power of a meditative pause to generate valuable insights. Each step of this journey, from theoretical understanding to sensory experience, from personal account to expert support, from disciplined recording to prayerful dialogue, forms a mosaic of revelations that extends beyond the official altars, becoming a precious guide for our daily choices. These unwritten signs, though not recorded in scholarly tomes, carry extraordinary potential for impact. They are beacons of light that illuminate our decisions, shape our mindset of care and love, and invite us on a continuous journey of transformation. By recognizing the legitimacy of these maternal warnings, we discover a source of practical wisdom that accompanies us from awakening to nighttime retreat, guiding attitudes that express compassion, solidarity, and active faith. With this recap, we are ready to advance to the next stage of this journey, further deepening the nuances of spiritual discernment and preparing the ground for new revelations that will continue to lead us on paths of true encounter with the divine. Comment: this makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic. In the next video, we'll delve deeper into how to respond spiritually to these warnings from Mary, exploring practices of prayer, discernment, and service that transform not only dreams into action, but our entire faith routine. If you've ever had a dream or vision in which you felt Mary speaking to your heart, share your story in the comments below, and write, "I'm on this journey too." If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for dedicating your time to this special conversation. If you felt these revelations added value to your journey, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content that helps transform dreams into concrete decisions. Leave a comment saying "I'm with you" until the end, so I know who's truly following this exchange of inspiration and learning. And if this message touched your heart, like the video, your like strengthens our connection and encourages us to bring you even more stories and practical tips, and to further delve into this universe. There's a video here that goes even deeper into this topic. Click there and join me there, exploring together the next steps on this journey of faith and the revelations Mary has for us.